Disclaimer: the following narrative is based on open source reports and public claims.
Throughout this war, there has been an invisible line. Everyone knows it's there. NATO has provided support, long-range missiles, modern tanks, advanced air defense systems, real-time satellite intelligence. But one thing has not happened. No official NATO combat troops fighting Russian forces directly. That's the line. The boundary between support and direct confrontation. As long as that line holds, this is called a proxy war. The moment that line disappears, the nature of the conflict changes. It's no longer Ukraine versus Russia with Western backing. It becomes Russia facing the most powerful military alliance on Earth. And that's not a small shift. That's a structural transformation of the war. Every war has a breaking point. If Ukrainian defensive lines begin to collapse, if key strategic cities fall, if air defenses can no longer intercept incoming waves, pressure builds, not just in Kyiv, but in Brussels, in Washington, in Warsaw. NATO's eastern members don't see this as a distant conflict. They see it as a shadow moving closer. Poland reinforces its borders. The Baltic states increase readiness. NATO drills expand in scale and frequency. When threat perception rises, doctrine can shift. And in security politics, the greatest fear isn't just Ukraine losing territory, it's NATO losing credibility. NATO is built on one word: deterrence. Prevent aggression by demonstrating strength. If Russia reshapes territory by force without facing direct NATO consequences, the global message changes. The message becomes: Western alliances can be pressured, and that matters beyond Europe. In Asia, in the Middle East, in the Indo-Pacific. Other powers are watching. This isn't just about Ukraine, it's about the architecture of global security. And when credibility is on the line, even extreme options enter the conversation. Direct involvement rarely starts with a dramatic announcement. It begins gradually. NATO air defense crews operate systems inside Ukraine. Joint artillery coordination expands. Active duty pilots fly advanced fighter jets. Special reconnaissance units operate closer to the front. At first it looks technical, limited, controlled. But legally and strategically, active duty personnel engaging in combat means official involvement. And once a NATO soldier fires at a Russian position, the narrative changes completely. From Moscow's perspective, direct NATO involvement confirms its long-standing claim. This war is against NATO. If NATO steps in openly, that narrative gains legitimacy. The response would likely be layered: military escalation, cyber operations, energy leverage, information warfare. Missile strikes intensify. European infrastructure faces cyber pressure, mobilization expands, strategic signaling increases. And perhaps most concerning, the doctrine sometimes described as escalate to de-escalate, increase pressure to force the opponent to back down, a high-risk strategy with global consequences. At the heart of NATO lies Article 5. An attack on one member is an attack on all. But what if NATO troops are killed inside Ukraine? Does Article 5 apply? The legal debate would be immediate. If hostilities spill into Poland or the Baltic states, there's no debate at all. Collective defense activates. At that moment, the world stops talking about Ukraine alone. It starts talking about bloc confrontation. Modern war doesn't stay on the battlefield. It hits markets. Oil spikes. European gas prices surge. Food supply chains tighten, stock markets drop, investors flee to safe assets, emerging economies struggle, Asia recalculates trade exposure, China reassesses strategic positioning, the Middle East evaluates energy leverage, a regional war becomes a global economic stress test, and the financial system becomes a second battlefield. The phrase gets used emotionally, but technically, a world war means multiple major powers fighting directly. If NATO and Russia engage in open combat, that's two nuclear blocs confronting each other. However, modern war can remain geographically limited, even with large actors involved. The real danger isn't intention, it's miscalculation. One missile off target, one aircraft crossing the wrong boundary, one intelligence error. History shows major wars often begin not with deliberate design, but with mistakes. There are two broad paths. First, direct NATO involvement accelerates negotiations because escalation becomes too dangerous. Second, the conflict expands into a prolonged confrontation. There are no guarantees. Every move in geopolitics triggers a reaction. Every reaction creates new uncertainty. NATO boots on Ukrainian soil would symbolize a new era. From proxy war to open confrontation, from regional conflict to a global stability test. The real question wouldn't be who controls which city. The real question would be, is the world prepared for the consequences of direct escalation? Because once invisible lines are crossed, they are rarely redrawn. Let's be clear, this video presents a hypothetical scenario analysis. There is no official confirmation that NATO has deployed combat troops directly into Ukraine. The purpose here is to explore possibilities, assess risks, and understand potential geopolitical consequences. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe NATO would actually take that step? Or is this still within the realm of strategic signaling? Drop your analysis in the comments. If you value structured, in-depth geopolitical breakdowns without sensationalism, subscribe to the channel, because in a world defined by uncertainty, understanding early means staying prepared. I'll see you in the next analysis.